So step one, how do you know your audience? Well, the really cool thing about Pinterest is there's a lot of data already out there to teach you about your audience, right? People are on your website, they're pinning from your website, they're sharing your content already. You can go and before you even pin your first pin, or if you've already started but you haven't really figured out your strategy yet, you can go figure out what your audience is interested in, right? That data is available. You can also then extend that to learn what else they're interested in. Because in Pinterest, you generally do want to pin on a variety of topics. And so if you're thinking about, well, what adjacent topics might we want to curate content about, this data can be incredibly helpful in figuring that out. And then thirdly, who are these people, right? How do you actually connect with your advocates? How do you connect with users who are already familiar with and engaging your brand? So again, promise not to do too much blatant advertising, but we offer a free version of our dashboard. You can go ahead and grab it now. It's obviously not as robust as the paid versions, but the paid plans are pretty affordable for anyone anyhow. So we like to keep it so that everyone can participate. But I'm going to show you some screenshots of the type of data that is available that you can get about what's happening on Pinterest to make it a little bit less scary to get started or to figure out your strategy. So first question, who's pinning on my site? There's a report for that, right? So this data is available. You can actually see who the person is, click through to their profile. It's flagged whether or not they're following you already so that you can go and engage them if they're not. These are your users. These are the people who are hitting your site every day and who are choosing to share your content, right? Go engage them, go make them the foundation of your community from the beginning because they're gonna help you spread the word faster. And we're going to help you, sort by things like follower counts and number of potential impressions they've generated for you, and so forth, if you really want to get into the optimization of this. That tends to help if you have a very large audience who's already pinning your content. Second, what are they pinning? So you can go and see the top trending pins from your domain at any given point in time. Currently, we cap that at the last 1,000. We might raise that limit sometime soon. But what we're doing here, you see on the first photo, it says this was pinned 20 times. We're actually using image recognition technology to identify that multiple pins of the same piece of content are in fact the same piece of content. So that's how we know that that particular image was pinned 20 times from your site. Otherwise, it would be very hard to figure that out. And then right next to it, you've got links to who actually pinned it and how frequently they're pinning from your site so that you can, again, dig in deeper, learn what these users are really interested in and what context they're pinning it in. You've also got a nice little word cloud that helps you understand the context. So what other keywords are they using when they're pinning your content or keywords that are used in board names and descriptions when they're pinning your content. So again, this information is available. From this, you can get started in crafting a content strategy. So that's exactly step 2. Now we've got to curate content for the user. So this is about getting the right content in their hands. A lot of people basically start out and they say, I've got pinner's block. I don't know what to pin. I don't know what's going to resonate, and it's kind of terrifying and stalls progress. So a simple formula, if you're in that state and you just want to get going, create 12 boards, right? And what we say is, the first 12 boards should be 5 things that you've seen from the data or from what people are pinning from your site that your users absolutely love. Why? Because they're going to love it, they're going to share it, it's going to help you grow faster, right? It's all about building audience at this stage. Secondly, what are 5 things they want to learn or need information about? So Pinterest can be used especially for B2B brands or brands without a lot of their own visual content as a great resource to educate people on various topics. That's our entire Pinterest strategy. We just try to educate people on Pinterest marketing, and that's what we focus on. And then lastly, create 2 boards, sorry for the spacing issue there, but create 2 boards about what you want to tell them, right? So deprioritize your marketing message at the beginning. It might feel uncomfortable, but what this is going to do is help you optimize for building audience. And then once you have that audience, once you've earned their trust, you've earned the right to market to them, and you can then contact them on their terms, right? Otherwise, you're just kind of shouting at them. So one quick note here, cover photos are absolutely critical when you're building those first boards, or really just over time. This is an eye tracking study that Mashable published. And without going into too much of the details, basically, if you're familiar with eye tracking studies, red spots are where people are looking a lot, then yellow, then green, right? So what do people do when they hit your Pinterest profile? They're looking at who you are, they're checking out your description, they're looking at your follower count, of course, and then they're going to the first row of cover photos. If your first row of cover photos do not draw them in, they will abandon your page and move on to someone else's content, right? So if you're gonna spend a lot of time optimizing something on this page, it's description, avatar, first row of cover photos. That's what you wanna optimize out of the gate. And you can really start seeing results pretty quickly just by getting better, higher quality cover photos there that are engaging people more. Then you can test and iterate, right? So there are reports for that. You can see which boards are trending over time. In a given time frame when you launched a campaign, how did the board that you were targeting grow versus your other boards in terms of followers and repins and so forth. So this is really geared at helping you understand at a high level, is our content strategy working or not? And then if you want, you can dig in a layer deeper and look at the individual pins in any given time frame and see what pins are actually yielding growth, which pins are going viral, and by scanning, you can see what types of content are successful for you. Also, some really helpful things here, like being able to track hashtags by using the little search box. So if you've pinned a bunch of pins related to some type of promotion or some new category of content that you've published, you can quickly filter on that and see just how those pins are performing versus others. All right, so now, engaging fans on their terms, the third step. What does that mean? Well, first and foremost, if fans aren't online, you can't engage them, right? So that's the first thing you gotta think about. When is your content actually succeeding? And so, there's a nice little report that shows Monday through Friday, or sorry, Sunday through Saturday, I guess, depending on the settings, and by hour of day, when is your content most successful? So you can see when you're pinning most often, when is that content getting repinned, and then align your time of day that you're pinning based on that data, right? So I won't call her out, but I was personally blushing before this presentation because I overheard someone in the audience saying that they used this report, and by realizing that I think it was Monday at 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. Was their hotspot, and by shifting their pinning to that time, they instantly saw their growth accelerate because people were actually online in their target audience and were repinning it, right? Pretty simple principle. In addition to that, look at things like who's repinning your content most often. So if you're in this type of situation where you've got someone repinning your content 31 times in a month, 28 times in a month, that person's a fan. They love you. They love your content. They love your brand. Go engage them, right? Go bring them into the community. And what we're gonna help you do that is we've already gone ahead and mapped their accounts to Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and so forth where that information's available. So if they wanna be engaged on Twitter, go engage them on Twitter. If they wanna be engaged on Facebook, go engage them on Facebook. It doesn't all have to happen on Pinterest, but of course there's a link to their Pinterest profile as well, right? But this information's there also without the tool, right? Look at their profile. If they've got the little Twitter icon, they've got the little Facebook icon, they've synced those accounts, they've made that information visible. So you know that you can go contact them on other platforms.